I am Laura. I'm 27 years old. I met my husband, Tony, at work, and it's been 2 years since we got married. Actually, something we've been longing for has finally come true. To my surprise, I found out today that I am pregnant. Filled with joy, I waited for Tony's return. Recently, Tony has been very busy, coming home late and sometimes even working on weekends. Today too, he came home just before midnight. I heard the sound of the front door opening. Probably, Tony thinks I have already gone to bed. So, I decided to surprise him. Oh. Did I surprise you? Welcome home. Sorry. Laura, what's this? I thought you were already asleep. Why are you still up? Tony appeared to be quite shocked. Hey, I have something to tell you today. It's surprising. I stayed up waiting for you to come home because I wanted to tell you right away. I had a sense of excitement like when I was a child, eager to share something with someone. Is that so? But I'm just back and really tired. Can I at least take a shower first? Sorry. Sure, go ahead and take a shower. Lately, Tony has been getting irritable more often, perhaps due to his busy work schedule. On weekends, he would either wake up earlier than me to go for a drive alone or spend the whole day sleeping. We never spend time together. Amidst these days, my anxiety was growing, but I believed that Tony, who also desired a child, would surely be happy when I told him about the pregnancy. I called out to Tony as he came out of the shower. Sorry about earlier. I was just so excited. I couldn't help it. It's okay. But there's something I want you to understand, Laura. You're a housewife, but I'm working, so I want to relax when I'm at home. Yes. I understand. I'll be more careful next time. But today, there's something I really wanted to tell you, Tony. I'm pregnant. We're 6 weeks along. What? Pregnant? Are you serious? You're joking. Of course it's not a joke. I went to the hospital today. I've been feeling off lately, and my period was late. I used an over-the-counter test and it was positive. I was still a bit worried, so I went to see the doctor. I see. So it's true. Tony, aren't you happy? You've always wanted a child. I suddenly became anxious because Tony's reaction was odd. Huh? What do you mean? I am happy. It's just that the surprise is overwhelming. I haven't fully realized it yet. Well, I guess that's understandable. I convinced myself that it was understandable for Tony's reaction to be subdued. I had heard that fathers often feel the reality of parenthood later than mothers. But honestly, I couldn't help wishing he had shown a bit more excitement. Next weekend, we decided to go to Tony's parents' house and announce our pregnancy to his mother. Tony's mother, a young entrepreneur, still works hard. In fact, Tony will become the next president of her company. After giving birth to Tony, she divorced his father and started the company. She raised Tony as a single mother and managed her business successfully, becoming an inspiration to many women. She's straightforward, kind, and very sociable. As her daughter-in-law, she always takes care of me as if I were her own daughter. I really love her. Really? Laura, that's wonderful. Congratulations. The day has finally come for me to become a grandmother. I'm so happy. It's going to be a challenging time, so feel free to rely on me anytime. I was very happy to hear my mother-in-law's kind words, as my own parents live far away. She hugged me tightly, and I felt incredibly reassured just by that. As lunchtime was approaching, the three of us decided to go to a restaurant for a meal. There, the conversation turned to the hospital where I would give birth. By the way, have you decided which hospital you'll give birth at? I'm thinking of giving birth at a hospital near where we live now. My parents' home is far away, and they're both working. So I'm not considering going back home for the birth. There's a hospital relatively close to where we live, so I'm thinking of giving birth there. I see. But it's your first birth, and anything can happen. So I think a larger hospital would be better. They can deal with any situation immediately. I see. You're right. It might be better to go to a larger hospital just to be prepared. Then, the Line General Hospital is the closest to our house, so I'll think about giving birth there. Huh? The Line General Hospital. Suddenly, Tony spoke up loudly, and both Tony's mother and I were startled. What's the matter? You were so quiet until now, why are you so surprised? She said with a smile. Tony seemed surprised that his voice had come out louder than he expected. Line General Hospital, huh? That's good. I have acquaintances there, and they can be relied upon in case of anything. It's a big hospital, so they should be able to take care of both mother and child immediately. That place. What about a private hospital? Aren't private hospitals known for having private rooms and good food? Tony, you're quite knowledgeable. Did you do some research for me? Oh. Yeah. It's our first time, so I was worried and looked it up. But, many private hospitals these days don't handle births until the end. They often say, please go to another hospital for the birth. Isn't it difficult to transfer hospitals close to the birth? Exactly. As a pregnant woman, it's reassuring to be seen by the same doctor from the start and give birth in that hospital. Is that so? But there's nothing wrong with Laura or the baby now. Aren't we overthinking the situation? Silly boy. We're talking about just in case. It's too late if something happens then. If a private hospital can't handle it, you'll just be sent to a larger hospital anyway. Tony seemed unable to argue with his mother's straightforward, experienced perspective. While it might sound harsh to someone who doesn't know, I thought it was a form of love, but Tony just fell silent. But why are you so strongly recommending it, Tony? Do you have a personal reason for avoiding the Line General Hospital? I asked, half-jokingly. It seems like he was intentionally avoiding the Line General Hospital, instead of really suggesting a private hospital. It was meant as a joke, but Tony appeared clearly disturbed. No, that's not it. What are you saying? Tony got angry again, so I also spoke up firmly. Then, as your mother suggested, let's go to a large hospital from the start to avoid any worries. We'll give birth at Line General Hospital. That's okay, right? Tony didn't say anything more. But from his expression, I could tell he was in a bad mood again. Noticing Tony's mood, Tony's mother gave me a look that said, just ignore it. After returning home, Tony suddenly started talking about the hospital issue. So my opinion is completely ignored, huh? The hospital we were talking about earlier? I'm not ignoring you. As your mother said, it's our first birth, and we don't know what will happen, right? Why is the general hospital a problem? A lot of people give birth in private hospitals, right? Maybe, but why do you dislike the Line General Hospital so much? Is there something wrong? That's not what I'm saying. How many times do I have to tell you? I just thought it would be nice for you to eat delicious food. The food at general hospitals is bad, isn't it? Who cares about how good the food is? And how do you even know about the food at private hospitals being good and at general hospitals being bad? Did you know about this stuff before? What are you doubting? Can't I research hospitals? I didn't mean it like that. I'm the father, but you keep listening to my mother. It's our child. At that time, I couldn't understand why he was so fixated on this. However, I felt it would be troublesome if Tony remained grumpy for a long time. All right. I'll look into the private hospitals near our house. Great. Really? That's good. That solves one issue. One issue? What do you mean? No, nothing. Just let me know when you decide on a hospital. I wanted his help in searching, but I kept silent and didn't say anything. Eventually, I ended up choosing a maternity clinic close to our home. As my pregnancy progressed, morning sickness became severe, and I struggled with unbearable nausea and drowsiness. During this time, Tony bought a lot of nutritional drinks and sparkling water and stocked them at home. Not just that, he also ordered a variety of low-calorie, easy-to-prepare foods to comply with the strict weight management from the hospital. Honestly, I didn't expect him to be so considerate. After getting pregnant, I felt like I discovered a new side of Tony, and I was genuinely happy to know he cared so much about our unborn child. I was 8 months pregnant, and my belly had grown quite big. On Tony's day off, we decided to go shopping for baby clothes. I thought it was time to start preparing for the birth in earnest. Tony, let's go shopping for baby clothes today. Let's check what we're missing and get everything ready. We should be prepared for the baby's arrival at any time. Okay. But didn't we just go recently? Didn't you say last time that we got everything? I was surprised at his comment. Indeed, I had gone shopping with Tony's mother, but I had never gone with Tony. And even that was not just recently. That was quite a while ago. We still need a lot of things. Wasn't it just recently? When we went to baby store, we bought quite a lot, right? You bought so many pink clothes because it's a girl. I had to carry a lot of stuff, so there's no way I could forget. I was speechless at his words. Because our baby was known to be of a boy, it was impossible that we had bought a lot of pink clothes. Seeing me silent, Tony looked at me. What are you talking about? A girl? Pink? Our baby is a boy. Didn't we talk about it? Whose baby are you talking about? Realizing his mistake, Tony hurriedly tried to clear up the misunderstanding. What happened? Did I really say that? You clearly said we bought a lot of pink clothes for a girl. I shouted, almost in tears. Calm down, just calm down. I'm just saying I made a mistake. A mistake? You said you carried a lot of bags. How can that be a mistake? Who did you go with? No, it's not like that. It's just a bit embarrassing to talk about. Well, maybe I should tell you. Tony paused for a moment and then continued. Actually, there's a woman at work who's pregnant now. I went shopping with her, for her. Her due date is around the same as yours. She's unmarried and decided to have the child, and she asked me to accompany her for shopping. I was wondering whether to tell you or not. I thought you might get hurt if I said I went shopping for someone else's child. That's why I didn't tell you. Sorry. So, I got confused about that time. My bad, my bad. Tony was trying hard to explain, but his eyes were darting around. She's unmarried? Why? I don't know about that stuff. I'm not interested, you know. Which hospital is she going to give birth at? Tony answered in a low voice. I think she said Line General Hospital. I felt like this conversation connected with my long-held suspicions. But now was not the time to make a fuss. Until I had proof. I was calm at that moment. I had to act as usual, or Tony might realize something was up. I behaved cheerfully as usual and focused only on the baby during our shopping. Tony seemed to believe that I had bought into everything and was shopping as usual. And finally, I entered the last month of pregnancy. The birth could happen at any time. The most important thing now was to safely deliver this child. Tony was coming home late as usual, and lately, he was hardly ever at home on weekends. I had asked him to stay with me since I was in the last month of pregnancy. But he said, "It's still early, right? I'll have even less time after the baby is born. Can't you leave me alone? It's not like I'm just playing, I'm working too." One day, I woke up feeling more abdominal tightening than usual. There were still more than 2 weeks until the due date, but it was concerning. Then, Tony woke up with a loud noise, much earlier than usual. "What's wrong? Why so early?" "Sorry. I've got a sudden business trip, and I have to leave now." "Eh? A business trip? So suddenly? That's not normal, is it? It's an urgent matter. I have to go. I'm the next president, you know." He hurriedly started to change while saying this. "Can't you refuse? It's so sudden. Didn't your mother say she would make sure you didn't have to go on business trips? Now that I'm in the last month? Can't someone else go? It's something only I can do. No one else can. They're getting anxious if I don't go now." "What are you talking about? You mean work, right? Is it a job that only you can do?" "My stomach feels tighter than usual, the baby might be born today. The doctor said that the first birth can be late, right? You'll be okay today, won't you?" "You'll be?" It sounds like someone else's child might be born today. What are you talking about? I didn't say that. The doctor said you're fine. I can't miss this business trip, so I have to go. See you. And he really left. I felt a mix of distrust towards Tony and anxiety about possibly giving birth. By noon, my stomach started to hurt. I couldn't stand up on my own, so I called the maternity clinic. They said, "Please come here," but I didn't even have the energy to walk. And my stomach kept tightening. Worried that the baby might be suffering, I decided to call an ambulance. The next thing I knew, I was lying in a hospital bed with an 4 in my arm. A nurse came to check the 4 and explained what had happened since I was brought in. It seemed that this was Line General Hospital. A machine was attached to my stomach to monitor the baby's heartbeat, and I could hear it clearly. I was relieved to know the baby was safe. I was allowed to contact my family, so I took out my phone and called Tony. "I think the baby will be born today. Where are you? Can't you come back?" After a while, he replied. "Didn't I tell you I'm on a business trip? I can't come back right away. I'm in the middle of an important business meeting." I was just taken to the hospital in an ambulance. I felt different than usual and called an ambulance myself, then I must have passed out. I just woke up. "The baby is safe, so don't worry." "Glad to hear the baby is safe. But I can't come back right now. I did tell you I'm on a business trip." I sighed after reading Tony's response. Then, I heard the sound of breathing from the next bed, huff, huff. At the same time, a husband's voice came from the next bed, "Hang in there, just a little longer. It must be the beginning of labor." I envied the woman whose husband was there to support her. "Just a little more. Keep it up. Our child is going to be adorable, after all." Hearing that voice, which sounded familiar, I contacted Tony again. "Please, I'm so anxious. It would be so reassuring if you were here with me." Right after sending the message, I was startled by a familiar voice coming from the next bed. "Seriously? It's Laura again. I'm busy with a birth here, she needs to stop nagging. I told her it's a business trip. Isn't she being stubborn?" I impulsively opened the curtain of the next bed. I was in a labor room, where all beds were only separated by curtains. I heard a familiar voice and it mentioned my name. I had to check, so I opened the curtain spontaneously. To my surprise, there was my husband, Tony. Oh, Laura. Tony. What is this? What are you doing? I saw a woman lying next to Tony. She looked familiar and surprised. Feeling like I had seen something I shouldn't have, I quickly closed the curtain, my heart pounding. Soon after, a nurse came and took the woman to the delivery room. I couldn't stop crying. I had suspected that he might be cheating, but to find out it was actually true. And now, he was in the midst of a birth? My mind went into a state of panic. I realized I couldn't just let things be, so I contacted Tony's mother. She understood the situation and, crying, apologized on behalf of Tony. Then, she revealed a certain truth to me. Afterward, I returned to my regular maternity clinic. I wasn't in labor that day, so I was supposed to go home, but the doctor, worried about my crying, arranged for me to be admitted. Thanks to that, I didn't have to go home and cried quietly alone in the hospital room. Then, I received a text from Tony. I didn't want to be involved anymore, but for the sake of our child, I checked the text. Did I see you at the general hospital? Internally, I was astonished that he started there, but I replied briefly, yes, that's right. So it was you. Is everything okay? Did you give birth? I was worried when you weren't there when I got back. Didn't I say I was taken in by an ambulance? Oh, you were busy with your delivery. You're misunderstanding something. What am I misunderstanding? Yes, I was there, but I'm not the father. Huh? What kind of nonsensical excuse is that? Tony kept making excuses, not even asking where I was. I was too astounded to be angry. Remember I told you? There's an unmarried woman at work who's pregnant. Today was her delivery day, so I went. Then why did you lie about a business trip? No, I really went on the business trip. But then she called me, saying she desperately needed me, so I went to the hospital. Tony tried to excuse himself with a laugh, but to me, it only evoked a sense of disgust. This isn't funny, you know? When I said I felt bad because of my tightening stomach and wanted you to stay with me, all you said was, you'll be fine. Calm down. Oh, so you're in the hospital? I'll come right now. So you finally worry about where I am. But don't bother. I'll give birth alone. You stay home. What, you're so mad? With that attitude, I might divorce you, you know. That comment was the last straw for me. You might divorce me, what's that supposed to mean? I can't take it anymore. Let's divorce. You'll have to pay compensation and child support, you know. This man, how long does he plan to belittle and deceive me? You're cheating, aren't you? How long do you plan to mock and deceive me? Let's just divorce. Are you sure? How do you plan to live without me? Do you even have proof that I cheated? What you think you saw today at the hospital is your misunderstanding. Or are you saying you have photos or recordings? Tony seemed smug, but he seemed to forget that I had a strong ally. I do have some photos. The woman you're cheating with is Becky from the reception at your company, right? When I saw her through the hospital curtain, I remembered her. She was there when I worked, right? About the evidence photos you're talking about. I have photos of you visiting her apartment, shopping together, and even happily attending the maternity clinic together. You might be surprised, but I have a photo of the newborn's nameplate at the hospital. It has your name in the A father section and Becky's name in the A mother section. Isn't that enough evidence? What? Why do you have so much? When I told you I was pregnant, I thought your reaction was strange. Your mother thought so too. She noticed first and took action. What? My mother did? Why? Don't you remember? She said there was an acquaintance of hers at Line General Hospital. Kind of. I guess. That person is a nurse in the maternity ward. She had seen you before. So, when your mother heard about you being at the hospital with a woman, she was curious who she was, since she knew I was attending a private clinic. Oh. She did quite a bit of digging into you. She investigated. Tony's mother thought Tony was suspicious and had a detective agency investigate without consulting me. The results were damning. He pretended to be on business trips and used company money for trips with her, taking advantage of being the president's son. That's why there are so many incriminating photos. The reason you didn't want me at Line General Hospital was because it was the hospital you and Becky were going to, right? You knew so much about hospital food and what to eat during morning sickness because you were spending time with her. Even the story about shopping for baby clothes? You thought you had fooled me, but I was quite suspicious. Mistaking stories about your mistress's child for ours is just despicable. I didn't think you could be such a terrible man. I'm so disappointed. Fine, I get it. I'll divorce you. I'll remarry her. And eventually, I'll be the president. You'll be the one suffering, you brought it on yourself. I was astounded at how he could say such things aloud, considering what he had done. Just so you know, your mother said she's firing you and Becky. What? You know your mother is a meritocracy. You keep saying you'll be the next president because you're her son, but she never said that. She told me she would choose whoever is most trustworthy at the time. No one told me that. Also, I think your mother will be home soon. She was quite determined to make you sign the divorce papers, so please do that. You'll probably get quite scolded, but make sure you listen to what she has to say. My mother is coming? Wait. Waiting won't change anything. You have a child with Becky now. Divorce me and take responsibility. And of course, you and she will fully compensate me for the affair and everything else. Wait. If I can't be the president, what should I do? Laura, you're the one I care about. So, let's not divorce. I thought, you must be joking, and hung up, then blocked Tony's phone number. Even if he couldn't reach me, I trusted Tony's mother to handle things. I heard Tony was scolded thoroughly by his mother, sitting on the floor. Apparently, she divorced his father because he cheated while she was pregnant. She never thought her son would repeat his father's mistakes. She cried when she told me about it on the phone. Tony was fired immediately for using company money for personal use. Becky was also fired for being complicit and didn't return. Tony now works double jobs, exhausted, paying me compensation and child support. Becky also started working, but she seems constantly stressed about the child and money. Living in a tense atmosphere every day. Of course, the child is innocent, so I hope they find happiness. I later gave birth to a healthy boy. During the birth, Tony's mother was with me, and now we live together. She treats me very well, and I feel I might be depending on her too much. I've returned to work at her company. She often jokes, or maybe she's serious, I'm counting on you when I retire. I plan to work hard for my child and loved ones, in both parenting and work.